Mary I of England, known as Bloody Mary, was one of the most controversial and tragic monarchs in English history. Born on February 18, 1516, at the Palace of Placentia in Greenwich, she was the only surviving child of King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. As a princess, she received an excellent education, studying Latin, music, theology, and classical literature under renowned tutors such as Juan Luis Vives. From an early age, she was recognized as the heir presumptive, and her father sought to arrange a politically advantageous marriage for her, first betrothing her to the Dauphin of France and later considering a match with Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. However, her life took a dramatic turn when Henry VIII sought to annul his marriage to Catherine to wed Anne Boleyn, breaking with the Catholic Church and establishing the Church of England. Declared illegitimate in 1533, Mary was stripped of her royal status and forced to acknowledge her father as supreme head of the Church, a humiliating and deeply distressing experience for the devout Catholic princess. Her mother's death in 1536 further isolated her, but after Anne Boleyn's downfall, Mary gradually reconciled with her father and was later reinstated in the line of succession by the Third Succession Act of 1544, though her legitimacy remained in question. When Henry VIII died in 1547, the throne passed to her younger half-brother, Edward VI, a staunch Protestant who sought to advance the Reformation in England. Mary, however, remained unwavering in her Catholic faith, openly defying the new religious policies. As Edward's health declined, his Protestant advisers, particularly John Dudley, Duke of Northumberland, feared that Mary would restore Catholicism if she became queen. To prevent this, Edward's will bypassed both Mary and Elizabeth, naming Lady Jane Grey, Northumberland's daughter-in-law, as his successor. However, Mary, now 37 years old, acted decisively. Gathering her supporters, she rallied forces in East Anglia, gaining the backing of nobles, the common people, and even sections of the Protestant nobility who recognized her legitimate claim. Within days, Jane Grey's rule collapsed, and Mary entered London triumphantly on August 3, 1553. The people initially celebrated her as the rightful queen, hopeful that her reign would bring stability after years of religious upheaval. Once in power, Mary was determined to restore Catholicism, reversing the Protestant reforms enacted during her father's and brother's reigns. Parliament repealed Edward VI's religious laws, reinstated papal authority, and restored Catholic Mass and doctrine. Determined to secure an heir who would ensure Catholic rule, Mary agreed to marry Philip II of Spain, a match that was deeply unpopular among her subjects. Many feared England would become a Spanish satellite state, and discontent culminated in Wyatt's rebellion in early 1554. The rebellion was swiftly crushed, and its leaders, including Lady Jane Grey, were executed. Philip arrived in England later that year, but their marriage proved unsuccessful. Philip found little political advantage in England and spent much of their marriage abroad, showing little affection for his wife. Mary, desperate for an heir, experienced 2 phantom pregnancies, which caused her immense emotional and physical distress. Her religious policies soon took a brutal turn. In an effort to eradicate Protestantism, she reinstated heresy laws and began a fierce persecution of those who refused to conform. Between 1555 and 1558, around 280 Protestants, including prominent figures such as Archbishop Thomas Cranmer, Bishops Hugh Latimer, and Nicholas Ridley, were burned at the stake. These executions, which took place publicly in places like Smithfield, Oxford, and Canterbury, horrified many and earned Mary the infamous nickname, Bloody Mary. Though she believed she was saving England's soul, her actions deepened the divide between Catholics and Protestants and ultimately strengthened anti-Catholic sentiment in the country. Her reign also saw foreign policy failures, the most significant being the loss of Calais, England's last possession in France, to the forces of Henry II of France in January 1558. The loss was a devastating blow to national pride, and Mary reportedly lamented that when she died, the name Calais would be found engraved on her heart. Meanwhile, her health continued to deteriorate, likely due to ovarian cysts or uterine cancer. By the autumn of 1558, it was clear she would not survive. With no heir to succeed her, she was forced to acknowledge her half-sister, Elizabeth, as her successor. On November 17, 1558, Mary died at the age of 42, at St. James's Palace. She was buried in Westminster Abbey, later to be joined by Elizabeth I, whose Protestant rule would undo Mary's Catholic restoration. Though she failed in her mission to secure England's return to Catholicism, her reign marked a pivotal moment in the country's religious struggles, and she remains one of the most debated figures in Tudor history.